have always loved nature, and in my work, I try to bring out the positive feel, the power that you get when you're in the presence of the beauty of nature. I have used abstractions as a way to allow me to focus on how it feels to be there, and I can bring out the colors, contrast, the lines to help convey that feeling.
Corona is Latin for crown, and the virus itself has visual similarities to the tops of crowns. I decided to do crowns as a way of taking back the association of crowns with suffering and instead focusing on crowns as an empowerment. This is the crown of the 23rd Psalm. This crown honors the losses that we all have experienced during these times, whether from sickness or loss of a loved one, from financial losses, or from the many types of loss that are inherent in times of massive change.
Hi, I'm Bill Crook, and we're down in my studio at the basement. I think it's important to, try to thin the veil between the creator and the creation. That everything, us and them. We span that gap, and we get a creative jolt. And my feeling is. We're gonna, I've been connecting with myself and the garden and feeling, more inspired, more connected, than my whole life's sort of before me. And so I'm going to show you this self-portrait that's really enough.
As a Christian, I'm in a constant battle of becoming more like the world or more like Jesus. So I was learning that the only way that I could become more like him was to spend more time with him. Most of my paintings reflect these lessons. This woman in my painting has been enlightened after spending time with God, and now ready to bring the light into the darkness. Do you have the light of life?
This was a redo of a 2D design problem called Diabetic Stained Glass. This is Diabetic Stained Glass 2. A lot of paint samples from a lot of hardware stores in Springfield. This is Heartbeat. Here I got away from the stained glasses and started using heavier acrylic paints to create the 3D effect on the stethoscope portion. And also, instead of using paint samples from the hardware store, I was using colored cardstock. The initial idea was I was going to make the feathers out of used diabetic test strips, but, well, nasty. Can't really sterilize them, and it takes a lot more test strips than even I use. So the future, I'm going to use surgical gauze cut into feathers and cotton for the top.
visually, it seemed to be progressing in a more controlled and structural way, although in the center, there's extensive layering and movement. And in that area, it is extremely active. And I became intrigued by the underpainting and how it was showing through the textural layering that I was applying. I sort of became obsessed with scratching and scribbling on these beneath the surface things that were going on, this sort of turmoil. These structures then surrounding the central area in the painting obviously represent our places or spaces of confinement. The surfaces, though, aren't flawless. They too are scarred and show some wear and tear. As I look at this, I know I will probably title it something like Confinement 2020 or Seeing Confinement or Seeing 2020 in Confinement.
I recently found these Property of Janet name stickers from my grade school years. Growing up in a big family, I like to tag and claim certain things with my name. Each canvas block represents a different energy system in my body. Connecting them shows the union within the energy of my chakra system. My boundaries in and around these energies are healthy, strong, and the property of Janet.
First one I did kind of demonstrates the feeling I think that everyone has of being alone during this period. I do 3D work in pastel. Each of the images is cut out and layered at differing heights. This is called the mountain of COVID-19. Climbing the mountain that we're all having to climb during this period. I thought about the state fair that hopefully will be held this year. And I did a bigger piece, 22 by 28, again in 3D, which I call 3D, and I've got the Illinois State Fair and all its complexities.
Hi everyone, I'm Diane and I'm happy to welcome you to my home gallery and studio. On this wall are some of my favorite paintings. This is the map of my brain, and above it I call this radishes. And over here we have one of my more recent pieces with the nightgowns, and above it a piece that I call vanity. Moving around behind me is my circus piece, 3D circus, and above it my portraits of clowns. This is my stuck at home. I'm gonna call that finished. I need to frame it still. But this piece is infestation number 2, and I'm working on that. And this one is finished, and it is also an infestation piece.
Room divider, screen, triptych.
Sometimes you have like 3 bars and they all have to fit. Brutal.
Made of pieces left over from costumes that Marco made.
So, pum, 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 like 10 more holes. And we can lift this one up. So this is probably the most beautiful work of abstract art I ever made. And I didn't even make it.
The first one, it took me just like right then, bang, 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 and put them on the floor. And
The crown on my career so far.
so this was another collaboration by Marco and Delinda.
in cutouts.
I've been shooting for about 25 years. I initially started photographing music venues, mostly in Chicago, blues clubs, and then other kinds of outdoor events, as well as doing some conference shooting. I do a mix of different kinds of photography. As you can see in these photographs here, I have prints as well as some photos that have been transferred to canvas. So that's a good examples of my work over the last 6 or 7 years.